Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are going to be kicking things off here today on day 8. The W7M versus FaZe clan. We're going to be headed to Cafe for our opening map here. This is the Clash of the Titans demo that maybe doesn't have the weight of our second matchup of the day, but let's be honest, it's always a pleasure to watch two of the best teams in the world going at it.
It is. I think this is a matchup that you look at and it excites you. It really does. Both dressed in red, which is always a nice one. We're used to seeing you red and blues, kind of a classic one for Brazil, Ollie, that we're used to seeing. With obviously Liquid usually in the mix, but Liquid ain't here this time around. They have to go for the LCQs. Thankfully for Liquid, you don't have to play either of these two because they're already in the major. They're also already in Invitational, Ollie. So we have two representatives from Brazil right off the rip. No surprise to see them here. Obviously, very consistent around the world if they get the chance to be there. Sometimes FaZe this is out on a few tournaments here or there, but certainly W7M just off the back of winning the major. I think they were already qualified anyway, just how the point tally works. So yeah, it's just going to be a good matchup just to see who wants to win it, who wants to give things away. I pointed out a few times that I think W7M, they're really trying to hide Consulate and Nighthaven big time for the major.
Yeah, there's certainly been a good adaptation of those new maps inside of Brazil. You think about a team like FaZe, and they've played quite a bit of Nighthaven. But obviously, looking at the maps that we've got on our screen today, if you were with us yesterday, first of all, welcome back. But second of all, we don't seem to be able to get away from the same handful of maps here. It's going to be your Bank, it's going to be your Cafe, it's going to be your Oregon. Now, this is exactly the format that we sort of looked at yesterday for FaZe's game versus NIP, albeit in a slightly different order. And no surprise, really, to see W7M reading into that 8-7 loss that FaZe suffered here on Cafe and going, well, we're a very comfortable team on Cafe. And if FaZe are going to have a couple of problems here, we are going to really make sure that we exploit them. So maybe one of the reasonings as to why we ended up here as our first choice. But that aside, W7M, they will start things off here on the attack. We've got FaZe starting off on the defense. There are a couple of operators, Demo, that have maybe slipped through that ban phase. I've seen the Monty ban come out from W7M. Now think back to yesterday. How good was Viticking on that Monty? It was a massive part of a lot of their attacking rounds here on Cafe. And as such, a Ying is being allowed through. But what we've seen in this first round, instead, you know, look at Herds absolutely doming Cyber in the middle of Piano.
What a shot. Yeah, Monty ban is a great one. It was a big reason why FaZe were able to see it over the line on Cafe. They just, whenever things weren't going well for them, they just took a Monty, and all of a sudden, all of the issues they had went away. So to remove that off the board makes a lot of sense. W7M, they're not a side that will take that Monty. It's one that they don't need to rely on. It's not their style of play. Their style of play is just kill everyone. That's the play style of W7M these days. We have an issue, though, as FaZe have somehow retaken in towards Piano. Urge was there the whole time, but he's been downed and finished off by KDS. Souls, he's still above. He can hold on the back of Cocktails best he can. So it looks as if W7M have an issue with not holding down the flank, not holding down that white corridor, Ollie. It's cost them here, so now they are left in the 2 versus 3 situation. And we know whenever you're trying to attack Cafe, Ollie, if you lose that man advantage, it doesn't give you a lot of room to work with, because there's so many different angles, so many different crossfires, that if you don't have the right men, the right spaces to hold them, you will get gunned down as soon as you step a foot inside this bar.
Yeah, FaZe need to make a mistake now, really, to lose this round. Top floor control has been gained, but KDS is still going to be up here, hiding out inside of the freezer. He's got live ping information. Goes for the swing to finish off KZ, but will be taken out. There's likely going to be an impactless kill at this point, unless KZ can get incredibly lucky here, breaking these 2 engagements down. Souls, he's going to hit him with the swing there, just outside of Fireplace. Great rotation from Souls. At around the 30-second left mark of that round, got himself down from that cocktail balcony, recognizing we've done the hard work here. They've got nothing left to really take advantage of that top floor control. FaZe, solid hold there for round number 1.
Yeah, it was. I was looking at the history between both of these sides, Ollie, and it's actually really surprising. that W7M beat FaZe in a of March back in 2022. So a year and a half ago was the last time W7M beat FaZe. And I find that really surprising considering what that team went on to do. We've seen them beat SI finalists, major champions. FaZe have beat them the last 5 times they've met each other. So the history of this matchup, it's all FaZe. It's all FaZe.
It's always been all FaZe.
That's which is so surprising because you would think that W7M winning the major, SI finalists, the run they've been on, you know, known as not just best team in Brazil, but best team in the world. But FaZe have their number.
I mean, FaZe have got their own list of accolades. You know, FaZe have won a major.
That's true.
FaZe have been in and around the conversation.
Third place, I think,
a lot
was
of the
their
events,
highest finish.
Yeah, they've had third place SIs. They've been there and, you know, put on performances. So it is difficult to say, and of course difficult because that's a different FaZe roster that, you know, actually won the major. Sure, it's
two of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a couple. You wouldn't necessarily call it a core. I think to call a roster a core, you need at least 3. You can't have just 2.
You're looking at NIP. NIP have that core of SI21, don't they?
So that's, you know, you can look at it sort of that way. But good on FaZe. I mean, I didn't expect FaZe to struggle on the defenses. I'll be honest with you. It was FaZe's attacks yesterday that really had the biggest it could go either way factor about them. And with that Monty being banned here, it really could make things quite difficult. Cyber, beautiful bait there. Fantastic. Really trying to get the player out of there and just didn't quite work. Souls went for that aggro play off the back of the impact going out, but W7M, they were more than ready for it.
Yeah, very surprised that FaZe have attempted those jump outs. They did it a lot against NIP yesterday, you'll probably remember, Ollie, but that's because Nomad was banned by FaZe. They haven't done it this time around. They've went for a different ban on the attack. They went for the Capitao, so I think going for those jump outs, knowing that Nomad's up on Cafe is always a risky one, and it has cost them. They're sitting behind in the man count, and Cafe is all about your numbers advantage, making sure you can keep everyone alive, because it does come down to just raw gun skill a lot of the times, not so much on the executes, because there's a pretty definitely a chaotic map compared to some of the more tried and trusted ones. You're looking at your clubhouses, for example, there, and even your chalets, where it is more about how well can you execute and hit every point of the map as you can. Gaffy just win your ones, get the trades. You're fighting a lot of the time in open corridors. It's just how the map plays into it. Oh, very lucky to see the Ying still alive. Well, you see that chunk of damage just out of nowhere. As long as those Candelas are up and active, it will give W7M just that little bit more to play off.
Well, this is what we commented on, you know, banning away the Monty. Do leave the Ying open. You're starting out on the attack. You can use that to your advantage. Positioning that Vitzking has got right now is going to be crucial. Picks himself up the down and the confirm onto Felipox. Now got the player on the white stairs to deal with and domes him as well. Cyber joins the party on a late flank in and around red, and with Diffuser cold on the ground, JV9 is left with little but a bit of info and a pre-fire. Picks one, vertical angle now exposed. Cyber, he's been all over the gap this round on the Solace.
Goodness. Vita King, Ollie, he's becoming one of our favorites. Again, he does his job so well. We commented yesterday, especially in that Oregon game, he was just a workhorse. Just does his job, does it well. And I always think there's someone that, on every great team, you need someone who will just be that consistent monster, who, whenever push comes to shove, you know he's always going to do his job, what he's supposed to do. He's a site player. He's got 2 kills. He's done his job. He's done that. He stopped them from getting into the site. Every team needs a player like Vita. Just consistently good. You need those.
Definitely burst onto this FaZe roster and made an immediate impact. And I mean, let's be honest, think about the shoes that were left to fill, you know, for the players that have joined since the main roster sort of disbanded. There's some big shoes to fill there. And, you know, you've got Cyber, sure you've got Souls, and, you know, I know that me and you both are a big fan of both of those players. And it's nice now to...
He got thrown in the invite, didn't he? That was his first
Exactly. Yeah. It's nice to know that there's that sort of triple threat that's just starting to just starting to get itself established on FaZe. You know, it's not just necessarily keep an eye out on Souls, keep an eye out on Side, but you've got to keep an eye on King as well. Especially when you can pull out plays of that nature. FaZe going to take us downstairs. And the first two side choices have been fantastic. They've done a great job of getting out there on the roam and really wasting quite a good deal of time. Forcing a lot for W7M to fight here. Hello? Surely we're not going to see this again. We saw this yesterday, and there was a blitz in play as well. Handy. Yes, that should happen. I don't care who wins, but I'm glad that Handy got taken out there because there's no shot he's allowed to get another 4K inside of that reception. Cyber is going to fill his shoes, and it does go down as a 1-for-1 trade. A very aggro position for that Echo to be playing in, but Souls, meanwhile, is going to take out Nade. Now, Nade is on the blitz. You really ought to have somebody with him there. He's going to be trying to push on in.
Still can't believe Handy trying to hide behind such a small little counter. It's like playing hide and seek, and oh, I've chosen a lamppost as my hiding place. No one will see me behind this. KDS and VIP just makes it all more difficult for W7M, who are just crumbling all of the attacks. There's no flow. It doesn't feel like there's a flow. It's very one by one they enter in. It's not the same collapse of a W7M where they look so good. They look so clean. They make it look so easy. However, the 2v2 now appears. Oh, what the? What? What? How? How they won that?
W7M, they got the job done there, and they hit some incredibly fancy shots to do it. Big push in through Bakery. I think down in Souls. Souls was down on the Maestro behind Bakery counter. And that was really the big entrance point. That then forced the player that was inside of Prep to have to swing. And I think they had the shotgun on, I'll be honest with you, but they weren't anticipating the player from W7M to be so far up inside of that Prep door. W7M were clutched around out there, and it's not all down to the way that things kicked off. Handy got, you know, he got one kill and then got traded. It isn't the end of the world, but that information that they're looking to gather with that Yokai drone and the aggressive plays that FaZe are looking to make off the back of that info, it wasn't allowed to be actualized. And W7M came through and did a great job at gathering that info of their own. Maybe that's why we haven't seen FaZe, you know, start off downstairs, or maybe that was why it was their third choice site, because, you know, they were sort of chancing their arm there. They don't feel entirely comfortable down in the basement, or the bakery and kitchen, should I say, but at least for now, they're going to be taking us up to this top floor and not re-attempting down there.
I think with Ying open, makes kitchen a lot easier to execute onto. You can clear VIP very well. Think about it. Just burn away any ADSs or WAMIs that may be there, and all it takes is one Candela in that small room, and VIP has no chance of seeing what's happening. So yeah, W7M have been, I would say, gifted around for FaZe. It was a 2v4, and then FaZe decided to swing and peek recklessly, and they get punished for it. So W7M will be happy to take that, but you see more from them, because I'm still not all too convinced on their attacks. Just not the same W7M we're used to seeing. You would have thought with, you know, a Ying open, it would make it a lot easier for them to get those 3-2-1 executes on. I think that Nade has probably been saying that, hey, just Ying isn't working for me today. Let's just sack it off entirely. Let's go a little bit more standard. You know, it's a little bit more, I think, utility-focused, Ollie, than bringing the Ying in to create those pushes. You see the Flores make an appearance. Even Lion, I think, is a good shout for Cafe. It's a flashbangs, which is always a good one. Bit of burn there. Some nades. Yeah, can't go wrong.
FaZe still getting a lot of value out of the Solace pick. It's going to be Handy rocking it this time instead of Cyber. But it's giving them a really good idea of where they need to start focusing their efforts. A bit of a slower round from W7M. You mentioned there not bringing the Ying and favouring a little bit more util. Obviously, the Ying brings incredible utility. It's just a different kind. Those Flores drones can be very useful, especially when you've got things like castle barricades that you potentially want to start dealing with. And they are going to start to slow W7M down if they're not dealt with nice and early on. Leapop's still looking to challenge on from the hatch. W7M really waiting for that cue to call. They're waiting for that push. Look at where Handy is, Demo. If they don't know about this flank, this could be devastating. And don't forget, Handy's on the Solace. He's got a lot of information at his fingertips.
There's no flank protection. No Nomad from W7M, which was something that they've ran before in this matchup. But not seeing it here may cause them issues, because essentially what you need is one person just actively sitting on red stairs, holding that. Easy. Let's make things easier for W7M. Eliminate Cyber. See the ace has moved away from red stairs to try and assist the teammate as they've started their execute in towards Piano, and it will be W7M on top. There's one player still in towards Bathroom who's been eliminated, and now here comes the flank player below with a C4. In comes a Solus. There was no flank protection. Nobody calling out for Handy. Alive and ready, but no, that's a good free fire from Nade. Out goes the C4. Will that catch anything? No, it does not. He has to go up this white stairs. Look at this upside down rappel. Holds him well. Leapox is ready to go. That's more like W7M.
I think W7M all the while knew that there was a threat from below. They knew there was the potential that they were going to get flanked there, but there wasn't really too much they could do about it. They had to bait that out themselves, win those engagements on the site, and then deal with the flank later on at a later point. You could just tell by how they were moving in and around those red stairs, not really wanting to give it up, just wait until the final possible second until they had to move on in the round. And of course, when you do have a player off-site, we talk about Cafe so many times, Demo, and how that opening pick can be so important. You've got a player below that's just waiting on a staircase. You've in essence, got that opening pick. You've not, because he can still come up the staircase and kill you, but you have that man advantage on the site. And that's what we saw FaZe struggle with just a little bit there. There's just too many angles to hold, especially when you've got that good presence coming through. Not only Cigar Shop, got a bit of new balcony action going on in there. You've got some upside down rappel on those white stairs and the pressure coming in through Piano. It all just mounted up and was a bit too much for FaZe to contend with. But at least now we've got an equal 2-2 game, Demo.
FaZe, we've mentioned before that the attacks yesterday were just not up to standard of where it should be, so I think they need to really dig in here and get, I would say, 2 more defenses, Ollie, if they want to stand a good chance. Especially whenever we know W7M, they're more than ready for FaZe on the attacks, because they banned away that Monty that FaZe done so well with yesterday. At the moment for W7M, it's been more or less just the KZ show who's been really getting in there, stuck in with the entry engagements. All I think he's been very strong, but it won't be this time around, as he's maybe went a little bit too fast. Ollie gets picked off by, I would say, a very common angle that's held by defenders, punching out the top of the reading room doorway. Should have been ready for that, so a little bit sloppy there from KZ. And then W7M, already a man behind them. Look at that yellow ping, he's missed that, but somehow he gets it. His KDS just has not moved. Question mark?
Yeah, that's their bullets coming through the wall right next to you, KDS. You have to react to that. Despite the opening pick going in favor of FaZe, they've now lost 2. And to what? You've been wallbanged and you've had somebody push you inside of Piano. Vitaking now going to try and make his way up these white stairs and just see if there's anything that he can add into this party. And he's below and he's got a C4, but that's only going to be good for 1 at the best. I mean, he'd be lucky if he was able to get more than 1, but you'd hope that W7M don't bunch up too much if he's going to be below with that cardiac sensor. Souls does have the DMR on the long angle, so can try and hold this for as long as possible, but ideally would like to drop off at some point. The biggest saving grace right now is that your lucky got taken out early, and it's the sledge. So they've not got that same potential to open up all of these angles, but they have a lot of time and a lot of man count advantage to do that with, especially seeing as 2 of the 3 players that were remaining for FaZe have fallen, and it now leaves a lot on the shoulders of Souls. Got an inkling that somebody's there inside the freezer, but with the plank going down, it makes it even more difficult for him. His location likely known at this point, and W7M, they can relax, they can sit on their hands, they don't need to do all too much. It's going to be for Leapox threading the eye of a needle there.
Oh my.
Nice narrow angle. W7M, 3 rounds in a row here. They're starting to hot up.
They pulled it back extremely well. FaZe, I worry. A lot of the kills that they gave away, Ollie, just felt avoidable to me. You looked at, obviously, KDS, just I don't know why he hasn't moved. And even Vita, he got caught on white stairs because he was just always moving. He didn't really know what he wanted to do. You know, he was trying to peek in towards piano doorway. Then he moves over towards freezer, peeks in towards the freezer holes, looking into piano, and then he rotates back to white stairs, and that's where he gets caught. It just felt as if FaZe Clan losing that first kill, they almost had to play catch up, and they were looking to get a kill back. They were trying to get a kill back. They were just seeing what they could chance almost. And, you know, they played the game a chance, and it didn't work out for them. So I think for FaZe, it just feels... It feels like they were yesterday against NIP, where they're chasing the game. But they don't have to, in my eyes.
Yeah, there's a good argument to say you can not quite sit back, but you can let it come to you in some way. I wonder if Handy's going to do the same antics with the echo in and around reception. It is becoming a little trademark of his to throw that yokai drone out there, gather the information, bring it back in before the time expires. But it certainly seems as though teams are cottoning on to that. They know what to expect. Full top floor clear here from W7M potentially. Certainly droning it, and they've got the bodies on the roof to go through these hatches.
For the most part for W7M, it has been just about clearing and taking the gunfights. I think, obviously, in the gunfight department, W7M have been on that. I think that 2v4, the last time that they were attacking Kitchen, kind of proved that. So I think they'll just do more of the same. You know, they've chosen operators that get in there and do the business quick. You know, very aggressive lineup, I would say. You've got a good chunk of nades there. You've got a lot of soft destruction. So you're really looking to make the defenders feel uncomfortable. And even Brava in its own right, so, you know, it's another free speed with a good gun. You can get in there, swing pretty aggressively. But yeah, it's just going to be doing the basics right now. For FaZe Clan, I want to see them, you know, use utility, which is one thing I don't think they've done at all on defense. Finally, we're seeing some form of denial. We're seeing, you know, Goyos and smokes, and hopefully they'll be used well, because they should. We've seen a few times yesterday on Cafe where having Goyo cancers and smokes set up to either, you know, kill box freezer drop or just simply put it up for bakery pushes. It works extremely well on Cafe. Just burn down the clock, burn down the time, because out of all of the sites on Cafe, this is one that usually takes the longest for attackers.
Do you think that FaZe have enough impact grenades? I'm a bit concerned. Maybe they could have brought more.
You're probably missing out on an extra set, I would say. You know, and even 10. You could round it up to.
It's right about now that you kind of wish you had a C4 in your pocket, especially with all of that remodeling going on upstairs with the sledge and the book.
Well, here's the thing. It's like you could probably say, oh, maybe they need like a bulletproof. They don't need a bulletproof. They've got Echo and Maestro. You know, double information. That's one thing we haven't seen in a long time.
Cyber made his way upstairs. He's gone through all of these track stingers. That is criminal behavior. He's been good for one. Vita King finds one onto KZ, and there's a lot of information here. You spoke there about the ample intel ops that FaZe are running here, but Nade starting to storm his way through. I think he knows somebody could be hiding out inside a cloakroom there, attempts the plant, but time's going to do the rest. FaZe, they vacated the site. It was no longer safe. They allowed W7M to come through, but W7M just spent so much time.
That's it. That's what you expect to see in the kitchen, Ollie. It's the time limit. Cyber has to be highlighted. I think he was the chain reaction that set it all off for W7M. Not only were W7M pretty slow in their approach, but whenever you add the mix of, uh-oh, we've been flanked, then you have to deal with a flanker as well as execute onto the site with only 20 seconds. At that stage, you have to choose one or the other. It's either you kill the flanker and lose the round, or you try and execute onto the site and lose the round. That's what you're stuck with.
I've no idea how Cyber managed to make that rotation without getting caught out.
He just shot them.
No, I understand how he did it. I know that he shot them.
No, but but
why has no one reacted?
The reason why is it just leads you into a false sense of safety for especially a gridlock. You throw the gridlocks and you just think, okay, that's it. No one will touch them. some gridlocks think that, oh, they're also bulletproof. You know, that's a sea of lava. They can't get through there. The floor is lava. It's not. And I think people forget that, how easy it is to remove the track stingers.
Yeah,
it is.
And especially when there's a little bit of background noise going on.
Oh, that's it. Exactly.
You know, half a mag getting sprayed on the floor to clear your path. It's neither here nor there, really, but it just seems like a lot of the time, because there's often this thought that a flank is this sneaky, silent step, Caveira sort of mentality, and it's just not. You know, it can be as bold and brazen as just dumping a Vector magazine onto the floor and running through.
That's why they aim train. They aim train for that reason only. It's not to kill the enemies, it's to make sure you can clear the track stingers. Side switch. This is what I know you're gonna be really interested to see what FaZe are gonna be doing about that Monty and how they want to execute. Good news is they may not have a Monty, but they have a Ying.
They do. They do have the Ying. It's a very different style of pushing power, and it just requires use in a you know, an alternate way. We didn't really see it have a lot of impact for W7M, to be honest. They didn't bring it all too much. They brought it a couple of times, but you know, it's kind of one of those things. Oh, Ying's available, that's cool, but do we really need it? Does it fit into what we want to do? Something like that Nade's probably pulled off is infinitely more impactful there, removing the old ace charge off the wall. We're seeing the nades get sent through now as a little bit of burn happens. Andy waiting patiently for anyone that would decide to flank, but it's going to be Cyber to kick things off. It's an opening kill there onto Nade and gets away with his life.
Pick up. Gets them again ahead. On a map like Cafe, whenever you're attacking this top floor, you want to make sure you can have as many people spread out as you can. In goes the Candelas, and all that you mentioned before, it's a different playstyle of having the Candelas, and you really just have to go for it. You have to go for the jugular if you're playing on that. Ying, KDS, eliminate Surge before the trade comes back from JV92. Fleapox gets caught out. He was flanking up red stairs, but KZ is still in the site doing damage to that FaZe Clan roster, but Soul, surely that's going to be enough now as he eliminates KZ, and Handy just sat in the window the whole round, eliminates JV. A very quick execute, and that's how you have to play with the Ying. You just go all in. That's it. All in.
FaZe doing a great job of committing to that all in as well, and again, we just get to see how nasty those upside down rappel angles are in that final kill. I'm surprised that we've got, you know, a game that's this back and forth when we actually take a step back and realize the stakes of this one. There's obviously a lot of pride on the line here. Coming first inside of Brazil is no mean feat. It is a stacked out region, and these players take that extremely seriously. But as we've mentioned, the fact that both these teams are into the major, the fact that both these teams have already qualified for Six Invitational, you know, there's not that big ticket item on this fixture. It really comes down to prize pool, and it comes down to bragging rights. It's great to see both teams really going back and forth with that.
Well, FaZe looking good. First attack in the books. They will have to now change things up and go for this kitchen attack now. Fleapox on the Clash, it's something that was displayed, Ollie, in NIP's roster whenever they were up against FaZe. And maybe W7M watched something from that game and gave them an idea. Maybe inspire them to say that, hey, FaZe are pretty slow in this basement, where a Clash can come in really handy. FaZe, you need to be careful. He's either been in the round or just hasn't been. He's either he dies first or he gets the kill first. That's the way he's played, and oh, there it is, the die first this time.
It's a good bit of team play, I think, there from FaZe. They've done a good job of identifying him. He got tagged up pretty hard through that bakery double. And if you know where somebody is like that, you've got to kind of commit to it. It's cost them a bit of util, sure. It's cost them an air jab. It's cost KDS a little bit of HP. You've gotten rid of a big threat there. You've gotten rid of the Legion. You've also got rid of a large presence inside of that bakery. And FaZe can now start to focus on those next steps, knowing that they do have that man advantage. Erd's going to be upstairs looking to see if he can catch anybody out on the roam or maybe make a little bit of a flank happen, but hasn't really got the info to be going off.
will be the bakery-sided take. That single wall open towards Wedding is a good one to get rid of, or a risky reinforcement, but it pays off for him. That's just another layer FaZe are going to have to try and get through, but with no Selmas on the board, they're going to have to rely on getting the Thermite in. Good news is, no bandit to worry about. I don't even know if there's any Tide Claws stationed up, but they shouldn't be an issue. They have EMP grenades. Can they use that? And, oh, yep, there it is. The wall's going to be opened up by the King. So, good basics from FaZe Clan. This is pretty run-of-the-mill stuff for your bakery takes. The only thing that you would be worried about is the lack of upstairs presence from the attackers. So you could get abused with just one simple defender rotating above and impacting above the breach. Hurts. Did well to get that kill, but as a pulse, Ollie, he's not going to get much value of that C4 from the position he's playing in.
No, absolutely not, and he really needs to be careful of that. Gets himself taken out there by Handy. It's going to be JV to join in on this party as the kills now start to fly. Souls make his rotation through outside of VAP and onto that long barrier. Good info on JV92 there. We can see the diffuser is going to be cold on the ground. 15 seconds left to go. 1 versus 2. But a nice crossfire in the site, and oh, look at that.
Yep,
turn the corner and you come up against the clash. The round is now unwinnable from this point onward, and Nade picks his moment perfectly. Takes a nice little swing. I think the biggest problem for me in that round is that FaZe Clan allowed Nade to reinforce that bakery wall. They had a drone on him. They'd opened the wall inside of Wedding. The double door was open and there was somebody playing on it, and he still got away with that reinforcement. If that doesn't happen, then it forces the Clash to play a little bit more aggro in that area. Nade isn't there to pick up that final kill. I just feel like they just dropped the ball a little bit on that because they had the information to make that swing.
I love the way you casted that 1v2. It was almost very, David Attenborough, where it's like, and the seal will turn the corner. Oh, and there's a polar bear. He's dead.
That's the natural order of the circle of life, and the polar bear will always eat the sea lion, just the same as the Clash will always win in the 2 versus 1.
It's just oh, yep, he's dead. He's not winning that one. Yeah, I think getting that reinforcement off it is risky. Main thing for me was just the lack of vertical. Was it Nade?
Nade,
just to sit behind the cookers and peek on that breach, left and right. Difficult to get him out of that position. You need to go above for those kitchen attacks. Going direct like that just doesn't work. And also, if you don't take above, then what's to stop the enemy going above themselves, impacting a whole above your breach, and then you can't get in anyway. Even if you clear away the players in kitchen, as long as there's vertical control for the defenders, you will not be able to plant. So FaZe, you need to do more than that, than just go direct. That's a little bit too, I would say, lazy. I think it's very lazy play, just saying, oh, we'll go from one side and that's it. You need to get about the map. You need to get in the faces of W7M. You cannot allow them to abuse those strong positions.
Drawing level, 4-4. Very back and forth so far. Difficult to see one team really gain a large amount of momentum. I think the longest string of rounds we had was, of course, W7M picking up those 3 rounds in a row. After that, it's been a back and forth affair. Herds are going to be downstairs. C4 prepped, ready to roll. KDS kicks things off with a nice nade kill there over onto Felipox. Victor King has fallen as well. C4 is going to go up through, but we can see that isn't going to land, I'm afraid, Herds. W7M, you're just trying a little bit too hard there with that util. You still have a C4 left in the hands of Nade, but FaZe, they're not really committing too much. We're still in that repel and looking to gain entry portion of the round. We haven't actually got many bodies in the ground yet. Cyber will be there, of course, as he is the main entry and going to make his way down those white stairs.
Both sides across the kills are pretty even. There's not a lot separating them at the moment. No real standouts. Wouldn't say anyone's had a stinker so far. Herds. That is a risky angle to be fighting and gets punished for it. Would say W7M, they've been a lot more bold in some of the angles that they've challenged, but FaZe have done very well with responding against those angles. KZ fires 2 impacts up and do a lot of damage to anyone upstairs. So right now it's just FaZe of trying to get that diffuser down. Reading door will probably be the prime suspect for their plant location. Cyber will stroll into said reading right now. KZ has to be ready to try and deny that as he takes some shots against Cyber, but Cyber, he wins that. Up goes a gold stairs flank. JV92 misses out the shots, and now his information will be passed to the enemy. They know exactly where he is. That's a great shot from Nade. Takes down Souls. Andy Holding eliminates him, and now it's all down to the Goyo. JV92 has no chance in that round. Handy with a clean double kill. FaZe, pretty by-the-book stuff there, Ollie. It's good. Good siege, that.
Good solid siege. Are we going to be having a weekend where every game, every map won is an overtime? Because that's what it feels like. Yesterday, every map won was an OT. And it's feeling very much the same here and now. Going to be going to bar from round number 10 here. W7M seeing if they can try their fortune here. They've not really had the best time of things since getting on that defense. They picked up one round. We were suspecting or wondering how the Monty ban would impact FaZe, and I'll be honest, Demo, it's not really slowed him down too much, has it?
No, it hasn't. They've looked very good. Good pace, good tempo set by them. W7M. I don't know. I don't know what it is these past 2 days, Ollie. They just haven't looked like the team that we're used to seeing.
Would you like to change your prediction?
No.
I can't believe you bet. I can't believe you've bet against FaZe 2 days in a row. Is it time for me to tell the story?
You don't have to.
We'll see. We'll see how the series goes on. We might tell a story later about Demo. Depends if we get a nice quiet moment.
I don't know if it's W7M knowing they're at the major, that they're trying to hide stuff. Again, it's just the whole thing with them not playing the two new maps just strikes me as they are. I just think that they're a side where, you know, in a couple of weeks' time, Ollie, they'll be trying to do something that hasn't been done in a long time, and that's go back-to-back championships. And I think for any team who wins the major, it's always that worry of falling off, which is usually the running trend that happens with teams who win the championships. They disappear the next stage. And I would say, to a degree, that is certainly true. I think G2 was a good example of that. BDS before that as well. You know, it's happened to these teams, and I don't know what it is, but it's certainly something that could hold W7M back.
The old winner's curse. Takes a different level of mental fortitude. Unlucky. I don't suspect he meant to shoot his own drone there, unless he was trying to help somebody out on his team, potentially was in a sticky situation with sound. But let's see how the round develops. We've got Cyber out on the rappel. Maybe going to pressure in on that white window. Felipox going to scurry his way down those white stairs. FaZe have been very slow and steady in these attack rounds, and we credited them yesterday with their ability to gather that information. They do a good job in the opening portion of the round inside the prep phase with those drones and that economy. Cyber going back to back there with KDS. It was difficult to say who was going to get that kill, given that they are both rocking a very similar loadout here. It was Cyber credited with it. KDS can now think about making his way in as well and start to nade on down onto white. Great shot. Cyber's there for the backup as well. JV92, you got a lot to do, and he's not going to be able to do any of it. Fantastic push there from FaZe. Simple as you like. Catch the players as they're rotating down those white stairs and just slowly but surely shove through the site.
Phenomenal siege. It's so easy on the eye. There's nothing that's too crazy to worry about. It's doing the basics correct, Ollie. It's making sure you're in a strong position to use your utility. On the attack, the utility game from FaZe has been great. Making sure that W7M just haven't been able to sit comfortably at all. I think It always feels as though W7M, they're you know, they've got a hot potato in their hand and they're trying to do something to get rid of it. They're just, I don't know, trying too hard. And they're paying for it. I think, again, some of the challenges they've went for have been risky challenges. And some of the kills they've gave away have been sloppy kills. Yeah, just, gods do bleed. And that's probably the best way to sum it up.
Timeout as well from W7M being used there as FaZe are on match point. Weird time to use it. Could have maybe got away with using that a round or two ago, but the thought process there is to drastically try and steady the ship. You haven't really got any other opportunities if you lose this round, so you may as well throw it in there. And of course, it gives FaZe a moment to breathe themselves and say, look, we've got a couple of chances to get this one over the line and to get ourselves onto our own map choice. Don't forget, W7M picked Cafe in this series. And therefore, you would expect that they would be coming away with the map, but that's not how it always goes here in Siege. I think the one thing that I liked the most about that previous round demo is that just looks like Siege that you can jump in and play with your friends, that attack that FaZe did. It wasn't, you know, there was no flashy 3-2-1. It wasn't particularly, you know, there was no utility that was being used in a complex way. It was just good old-fashioned, gather your information, use your nades and use your utility to help improve on that information and to confirm kills and just to push through and win your gunfights.
And for FaZe, it's a really standard lineup. I think the addition of even bringing in the Twitch snipe some of that utility. Mine Maestro cameras are very vulnerable to an operator like Twitch. So there is just a few things that I think the defense need to make sure that they can stop, and that is giving away early deaths like FaZe has done again. That must be what his 5th opening death of the game.
I think it's Cyber's 5th opening kill of the game. He's been fantastic in that stat line so far today.
Telling you. I don't know what it is from KZ. He just puts himself in these positions that are so easily pre-fired, for example. He's just underneath a hatch. Of course you're going to die doing that. Oh, don't know what it is about him today. He's just not thinking straight. Doesn't seem like it. But FaZe are more than happy to pick up that kill, and this is where they're going to be primed and ready. And they have that man advantage, all their utility. Still ready to go. Flashbangs galore. 5 of them in the pocket. Cyber. Make sure the drone work is done well now, as it may be difficult for them all. See the double set of denial, Mute Jammers and Mozzie Pest coming in. W7M, but Cyber's just walked down. Nobody holding on to planks, and Cyber, where's he going? Pre-fires a C4, and in goes the clone. Now they know where Herds is. Herds should be taking a tumble down the hatch, and he does just that. The C4 was shot earlier, so he cannot use that. And now this is where the flooring starts to get opened up. JV92 looking for maybe a challenge, and he eliminates Handy. That is a wild swing, but it works out well for him.
JV92 can make that rotate and get himself up gold now and hopefully rejoin his teammates. 45 seconds, it should be enough time here for FaZe to rip open this floor and to gain a good line of sight down. Question is anybody there for the catch? And well, that's what Vitaking's going to do now. Going to get himself in a position to pop a little drone in, see what's going on in the site. He does have the diffuser, so you've always got to keep your eye on that if FaZe do need to look to extend this round somewhat and get that plant down. W7M vacated the site. They can't keep themselves in harm's way here. Soul's going to go for the drop. Vitaking, he's attempting that plant. Souls loses his gunfight, but the plant is likely going to go down. There is, of course, Felipox below, and that impact is going to be a little bit too late, but the C4 is not. JV92 picks up his second here. Now W7M are in a great position to retake this. They've got Cyber upstairs underneath New Hatch, finds himself one. The C4 isn't going to be successful here as KDS picks himself up another. Wow. Look at him go back to back. Cyber and KDS. They had no business winning that 2 versus 4 on the post plant for the map.
Oh, you have to give credit to Viking though, Wally. Sticks the diffuser, and as soon as that gets planted, you just know that FaZe are going to hold that. They had information on everything, it felt like. Cyber was top of pillar, making sure nobody could rotate from below kitchen, could then also drop into pillar and get an angle on the diffuser if push comes to shove, if he had to do that. But more importantly, just KDS holding onto the stairs as easy as you like.